TF Wire presents War Stories, a fan fiction podcast.
Hello everyone, and welcome to another edition of TF Wire's War Stories, Episode 10. I'm your host, Steve/Megatron. Today I'm reading a story by Opticron Primal. The story's called Transformers Primal Instincts. Chapter 1, Arrival.
You're faulty, Optimus Prime.
The Decepticon leader Megatron punched the Autobot commander hard enough to send him flying across the battlefield. Optimus was dealt blow after blow as he crashed through trees, boulders, and finally coming to a stop on the side of a mountain. It didn't take long for Megatron to arrive.
How pathetic. The once glorious and powerful Optimus Prime, reduced to a weak pile of moving scrap metal.
Prime weakly rose off the ground and stood his ground as best he could. He held his blaster limply in his hand.
If you didn't steal our supply of energon, you wouldn't be boasting right now, Megatron.
Prime tried to defend himself, but was still too weak to truly do so. Megatron finally had Prime right where he wanted him. He raised his fusion cannon to Prime's head and sneered.
Finally, after centuries of constant war, the true victor has won. This is finally it. The death of Optimus Prime is at hand.
The cannon hummed with energy as the open end glowed green and blue. Prime lowered his head, prepared for the worst.
See good.
Not so fast, Megatron. The Decepticon leader looked up in confusion to see a figure falling towards him. As the figure came closer, Megatron got a closer look at what it was. It resembled an earth animal, a gorilla.
What trickery is this?
No trick, but a treat, Megatron. The gorilla landed in front of Optimus Prime and stood his ground, prepared for battle. Prime noticed a faction symbol on him. It was red like an Autobot's, but the symbol itself was very different.
Who are you?
A friend. That's all you need to know for now. I'll explain everything later. As soon as those words left his lips, the gorilla lunged towards Megatron at a quick pace. Tell your partner that Earth's Solitarium is off limits. Optimus Primal, maximize! Chapter 2, Beasts. As soon as those words left the gorilla's lips, it started transforming, just as Prime and Megatron do. It shifted and turned until nothing was left, except its robot mode. As quick as a whip, the bot punched Megatron hard in the chest, forcing him to the ground. The mysterious bot then jumped back in front of Prime just as quick as it left his side. Prime stared at the bot in amazement. It was covered in metal plating and techno-organic fur. What surprised Prime the most was that the bot's head was very similar to his own. The only difference was that the faceplate was gone. The bot turned to Prime with a smirk. By the way, the name is Optimus Primal, leader of the Maximals.
Optimus Primal?
Megatron stood back up, astonished. His sensors couldn't comprehend what they were witnessing.
Primal, Maximals, who the slag are you?
None of your business, Megatron. All you need to know is that as long as I stay in this dimension, Earth's supply of Solitarium is under my protection. Go tell that to your partner.
Solitarium? Partner, I do not know what the slag you're talking about, but rest assured, I intend to find out.
With that, Megatron opened a warp gate and entered through it, en route for his destination, Cybertron. Wait, I'm not done with you! Primal leapt for the warp gate, but it disappeared right before he could enter. Primal landed on a nearby tree. Well, that's just Prime. Primal leapt down to the ground and rushed to Prime's side. The Autobot leader was down on one knee, still weak due to lack of energon. Looks like I got here just in time. Come on, Optimus. I'll help you back to your HQ. Once there, I'll explain everything you need to know. Meanwhile, on the Transformers' home planet Cybertron, two of Megatron's generals, Starscream and Soundwave, were awaiting his return. It wasn't long until the warp gate appeared and Megatron landed onto the steel-plated ground. Soundwave was the first to approach.
Welcome back, Lord Megatron. Your repair chamber has been readied for your return.
Starscream stood back, his arms folded, a cocky smirk on his face. He could tell Megatron failed.
Surprising. The mighty Decepticon leader cannot defeat his archenemy, even when he's as weak as slag. So much for a reliable commander.
Starscream, do you care to repeat what you just said to me?
I said...
Before Starscream could repeat himself, a flash of light appeared over the three Decepticons. All three stood their ground, prepared to attack. Megatron was tense.
What the slag?
The light landed on the ground in front of them and disappeared, leaving a dinosaur in its place. It was light purple, techno-organic T-Rex. It had a strange insect-like symbol on its thigh.
Greetings, Decepticons.
Megatron wasted no time pointing his fusion cannon at the creature's head.
Who are you? Identify yourself now!
The T-Rex just sneered and came closer to Megatron.
Oh, my dear bot, I am you. Megatron, terrorize!
Chapter 3. Energy. Flashback.
You're not going anywhere, Megatron.
Optimus Primal stood a few feet away from the renegade Predacon. He was accompanied by his troops of Maximals, Rat Trap, Cheetor, Rhinox, and Dinobot. Megatron was not alone as well. He was with his Predacon soldiers Tarantulas, Scorponok, Pterosaur, and Waspinator. Both factions were prepared for battle.
Huh. Spare me your heroic banter, Primal. You and I both know that fighting now would drain what little energy we have left.
Primal knew he was right. Their supply of energon was dwindling in both sides. Those raring to fight were weaker than usual. The Maximals, on the other hand, didn't care if they were low on energy. Rat Trap and Treater were the first to speak.
For booting a cold, forget all this talking scrap. Let's kick some tailpipe.
Yeah, come on, Big Bot. We can take these good-for-nothing renegades. No problem.
Rhinox and Primal had to remind them on the situation at hand.
Not so fast. You two, even if we do defeat them, the next time they will come, we'll be way too weak to defend ourselves.
Rhinox is right. Even we accomplish our goal of defeating them, we may automatically go into stasis lock due to lack of energon. Now stand down! Rat Trap and Treator knew they were right, and had no choice but to stand down.
Yes, you made a good move, Primal. Withdrawing your hyperactive little soldiers. Normally, this would be a perfect time to attack, but unfortunately, my Predacons and I are in the same predicament as you. Look around you.
Megatron started pointing to all the areas where energon was previously found before the start of the Beast Wars.
This land was full of energon when we arrived. So much so that even staying in our robot forms for too long resulted in a power overload and immediate stasis lock. Now, after the Beast Wars have started, this area is now almost completely depleted of it. We need energy to sustain life.
Yes, I agree with you, Megatron, but with this area's energon down to almost nothing, there's no reason to continue the Beast Wars. We could work together as one to find another way to survive. Megatron sneered at his enemy's proposal.
Ha! Work with a Maximal? Not likely. I have my own plan. I have found a new energy source located on an Earth from another dimension called Solitarium. With this, I can continue my quest to destroy your forces and finally take Cybertron for the Predacons.
But how will you ever get to that dimension? Your ship's dimensional warp drive was wrecked when we crashed here on Earth.
On the contrary, Primal, we have been working on a way to make the warp drive portable by integrating it with our internal systems. We now have the ability to warp to any dimension we see fit, and my next stop is Earth.
With that, Megatron began disappearing into a void of light. I'm not letting you destroy another dimension. Maximals, stop him! Primal and his soldiers dashed towards Megatron, but were soon blocked by Waspinator.
I don't think so, Maximal. Terracons, terrorize!
It wasn't long until all the Terracons transformed and went on the offensive, blocking the way to Megatron.
Once again, Primal, you fail.
And Megatron vanished into the void. Primal was too late to stop him.
Megatron, no!
And that's the end of the story. And if you'd like to hear your fanfic read on a future episode of War Stories, please head on over to tfwire.com and go to the War Stories forums. Post your story and also post permission, and you'll never know if you may hear it on a future episode. As for now, this is Steve/Megatron, signing off.
The preceding story was not endorsed by Hasbro and is meant for entertainment purposes only. All fan fiction stories are copyrighted to their respective authors, and all fan fiction stories used within this podcast are used with permission from the author. This has been a TFWire.com production.